We are the Shotcallers. I got Kyle here with me. What's up, Kyle?
What's good? What's good, everybody?
Happy to have you here with me virtually. I'm Rich. I'm your host for the evening. Our third, Robin, has strep throat. I personally battled the strep throat earlier this year, and I
Mhm.
legitimately thought I was going to die. Like, for real. Like,
I
I hope my mom doesn't watch this episode because she doesn't know. But I was texting I was texting my friends like I love y'all. Like ready for it to be my final night. It
oh my
was
gosh.
the middle of COVID-19 and everything, and
Uh,
I mean we're still in it, of course, but it was we were in the throes. I wasn't
mm.
working I was working at the time, and I was like, who do I get to drive me to the hospital? Do they put me in the trunk, like so I don't breathe on them? Like who knows what I have? It was crazy. Sorry to rant so much. You guys have tuned into an NBA podcast. Were you about to say something, Kyle?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm like literally just recovering from an illness, just like a moderate illness that was like sore throat and like my nose was has been stuffed, so I was talking like this for a while and but I'm just recovering from it now. You might get remnants of it here
Some
and there, but yeah,
nasaliness.
yeah.
Well, if you're in podcast form, I'll try to take it out before it gets to you. But thank you for joining us on YouTube. Anyone that's joining us now live or later on in the future, catching it later on, please, if you can, take the time, press the like button if you like the content, subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. We are going to have a surprise episode for you guys this upcoming week. Getting ready because we're going to one game a night and it's getting more easy to manage on top of our work schedule. So we're really excited for that. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any notifications when we go live. And if you want to catch us later on or in your preferred audio format, Kyle, how can the people do it?
You can find us virtually everywhere podcasts are found. You can find us on Anchor, Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Breaker, and Pocket Casts.
Kyle, I'm so glad you know how to read the ticker. Can
Yeah.
you tell me one more thing? I have one more test for
Yeah.
you because I can hear your nasaliness. Can you say the word fine?
Fine.
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 Okay, you pass. Because there's that
Okay.
test from the episode of Friends where Phoebe has an illness and she's like, find. Oh no, it's Monica. Monica, you put a
Uh,
D on the end anytime that you're really ill. Anyway, I don't mean to bury the lead because I found this game particularly exciting. I
mhm.
feel like Kyle, you might not share the same view, but the LA Clippers make it a series against the Phoenix Suns. Before I
Yeah,
give
yeah.
us a little recap, anything you want to say off the jump?
No, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of both ways. Clippers definitely made it interesting. They've continued the narrative of like always coming back from down 2-0 and stuff like that. So we'll see if it continues on.
I definitely don't think they did it on purpose because that
Yeah,
game
yeah.
two
Oh
was
yeah,
quite
yeah. Uh-huh.
quite the affair. Really close. Came down to some
Uh,
critical missed free throws from Paul George.
quick question: do you think that was a goaltend from
Which one? Which
DeAndre?
one?
The game-winning alley-oop.
Oh yeah, so the Valley Oop. It's
Yeah.
definitely not a goaltend. I feel
Okay.
like I've told this story on the show, or at least to you and Robin outside of the
Mm.
show. There was a famous play, I believe, in Memphis where just for years and years and years and years, a play like this was never attempted until the first assistant coach said, I had this on my back pocket for 40 years since 1970 something, saying, all right, just toss it directly at the rim. And the other guy just guide it right in. And they had to review it for hours and hours. But, it's not a goaltend because it's not a shot. The thing
Mhm.
that I kind of question is if, like, a hypothetical scenario, DeAndre Ayton has the perfect timing on that Jay Crowder pass that was over, not even over Boogie Cousins because Boogie thought the ball was going to go out towards Devin Booker for like a 2 or
Mm.
3 point shot. Definitely didn't think he had a lob, I don't think. So the
Yeah, he
pass was
wasn't.
kind of straight line. It's like as though the camera is Boogie in front of me, but I'm going to pass it over here.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it goes to DeAndre Ayton. If Zubac, like, he's just barely late because Booker
Mm.
hit him in the face with the screen with a broken nose, which will lead to what happened in this game. If Zubac happened to get there first and Zubac taps the ball and makes it live above the Suns basket, then DeAndre Ayton comes back and hits it back down towards him. Is there any kind of interference going on there? It didn't
Yeah.
happen because Zubats was late, but uh,
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton was also grabbing his jersey to make sure that he hit the Booker screen too.
mhm.
So it I was just testing your knowledge there because I, I wanted to see if you thought it was a goaltend or not. I knew it wasn't uh, a goaltend.
Well, thanks for the test. In this game, the Clippers are down 0-2, like you said. They're in their element, down 0-2, kind of like when the Nuggets were down. What was their thing? Down 3-1 every
Yeah,
step of the
yeah.
series last year,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and it was and the Lakers were up on them 2-1, and they're like, oh no, what do we do if we let the
Yeah.
Nuggets win? We're tied, but if we
Yeah.
win, then the Nuggets are in their element. But anyway,
Yeah.
the story, same story.
Mhm.
Kawhi Leonard is out. We still don't know what's going on with his right knee sprain. We don't know when he might be back. He just gets ruled out one game at a time. Chris Paul made his reappearance from the COVID-19 protocol, staying out. Rumors were that he had a fever, but some consecutive negative tests with limited symptoms brought him
Mhm.
back into the game. It was kind of a rock fight in the beginning, at least from Patrick
Yeah.
Beverly's point of view, because that dude was shooting everything in
Yeah,
the
he
first
was.
4 minutes. Like it was
Uh-huh.
crazy. Like I'm like this guy has like the green light. Did Ty Lue say get all your shot attempts up in the first 3 minutes, and because you're not shooting again after that until the game is decided? Who knows? But yeah, Paul George ended the game with 27 points. Uh, Chris Paul and Devin Booker, sorry, had Paul George, Chris Paul. It kind of
Yeah,
gets me
yeah.
out of whack sometimes, but they were out of sorts. They both missed their first 6 shots. They were 2 of 10 from the field in the first half, and they each had 7 points. But it was close
Mhm.
until the Clippers came out and had a scorching third quarter. I think it was
Yeah.
something like 23-3 or 21-3, leading them 71-56. Terrence Mann came out of that third quarter and was
Mhm.
was kind of getting putbacks, getting near dunks, shooting with confidence. Ever since he had that 39-point game, like that guy is saying, "Okay, I'm calling my own number. Like I'm not afraid." The fear and the kind of hesitation has completely worn away. I think he shoots with just as much confidence as what you see from Marcus Morris when it's like they swap places. Marcus
Yeah.
Morris does not want to shoot anymore, and we know he's a little bit hurt, but
Mhm.
it's like they've swapped. Nick Batum pass first, but Terrence Mann, he's like, okay, I'm gonna look for myself if it's not a
Yeah, yeah.
highly convoluted play. If he's got an open lane, he's taking the drive. Yeah, he had 6 straight points. Jackson had 4 in a row. George scored. Zubac had a dunk off of a dunk attempt off of this nice out of timeout or out of bounds play where they kind of got it over to George by the free throw line. He zigged around one screen from Zubac and then zagged around, losing Devin Booker, kind of faded away and then passed it off to Zubac who was rolling, and then he didn't miss the dunk, but he got 2 free throws.
Mhm.
So that happened, and then Luke Kennard had a three in the fourth quarter. Uh, Paul George, Marcus Morris hit a three. George got fouled, made some free throws. Stark opposite to what happened in the previous game, and the Clippers were up pretty big, 89 to
Mhm.
71, going down the fourth quarter. It got kind of close. Booker got him to within 6, but then Jackson had 5 points of his own. Reggie Jackson, the
Yeah.
guy that I guess he can't miss, closing the game out, and the final score ended up being 106 LA, 92 Phoenix Suns. Do you think I was wrong to have included nearly no Phoenix Suns love in that rundown? I was talking about the Clippers the whole time.
Uh, I think you are a little wrong.
Yeah, because they had a
But it's
lot of good
okay.
highlights.
Yeah, yeah. No, shout out to Cameron Johnson. He looked
Mhm,
stellar this game. Like uh in the amount of minutes that he played, because he got in the game a little bit earlier because Mikal Bridges he got out early in the first quarter because he got 2 quick fouls drawn on him.
mhm,
So right when he came out, he was hitting threes. He was playing good defense. And he's definitely he can like kind of like make his own like shot kind of like there is at one point when he had a drive on somebody and he made that layup and stuff.
mhm.
So it's been tonight. He definitely showed out as probably one of the best on the Suns tonight. Uh, Him and DeAndre Ayton, but DeAndre Ayton late in the game, they didn't really go to him that much. Like every time they went to him, it felt like it was kind of like a bailout. Like, oh, here's the ball, the shot clock's running out. You're in a post up. It's not really. Uh, You
Sorry,
reading the comment?
I'm reading the
Yeah,
comment
yeah,
here.
yeah.
My friend Leo, also my
Yeah.
roommate, says, "Let me see them hands." So here we are. Anyway, thank you for joining us live.
But yeah, it just felt like bailout plays, kind of like, okay, you're isoing in the post. We got nothing else going. Try and bail us out, like make a bucket. And I'm sure he can do that to some extent. But that hasn't really been his strength throughout the playoffs. Like his strength has been going off those Spain pick and rolls and the high pick and rolls and stuff like that, getting rolling to the basket, offensive rebounds, things like that. Uh, so it just it was weird to see him not really incorporated that much in the offense. But I guess it's because they were trying to get Devin Booker going,
Well,
and
yeah, that and
and
Chris Paul had more minutes than he
yeah,
normally would because
yeah,
Cameron Payne
he,
had an injury. He rolled that ankle and was ruled
yeah,
out for the rest of the game. Rest in peace for the evening, Cameron Payne, like the most inspirational guy on the
mm,
court this week. He said, "Don't give up on your dreams." I am a testament to this. Like, he was in China just like a year
mm,
ago, getting
yeah,
called up to the G League, getting signed to the 10-day and making it to be a starter a starter in the Western Conference Finals. That's crazy. But you were talking about how DeAndre Ayton maybe didn't have enough action going for him, but he's made a living, like made hay on getting offensive rebounds, being in the right spot as the bailout option, exactly like you said. So I feel like that his role didn't change in that sense in this game, but
mm,
it's a little bit more like your focus kind of turns towards him when the other guys aren't making shots, like Devin
yeah.
Booker. Why do you think he was missing so much? Do you think it was a good
I
defense?
Yeah, it was definitely a good defense. Patrick Beverly, he was Patrick Beverly and Terrence Mann. They've been
Hounding
sharing
him,
secrets. Yeah. Uh,
sharing secrets.
yeah. But yeah, he had a lot of clean blocks, and Patrick Beverly, who was fouling him at smart times to not let him get going, like in the fast break. He would foul him before he got before he got too far. Uh, so he didn't see the ball go through the basket
Hmm.
to bring his confidence up or anything.
He had that
So
third quarter make where he had a DeAndre Ayton screen at the top left wing, like outside 3
yeah.
point line, and he put Paul George on his back out
Mm,
there. And it was
mm,
like 4 seconds to go on the clock. He
mm,
strung him up, and then he ended up draining the two, but it
yeah.
was like point oh oh on the shot clock
Yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the quarter, I believe, second quarter, I think. No, it
Yeah.
was just a regular.
Yeah.
It was a regular shot clock. It was in the third quarter,
Yeah.
but they ended up taking the basket away upon further
Hmm.
review. So I guess he never got his rhythm going. You don't think it was the mask,
Yeah.
Kyle?
It was probably the mask too. I mean, like he was playing just fine in game two, like without the mask. He had all the stuff in his nose and all that other stuff. I love the Steve Nash vibes. Like they were
Yeah.
playing clips of Steve Nash back in the day when that happened.
Hmm.
Uh, and
It did
it's
look the
pretty.
same. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It was literally like deja vu. I didn't know it, like it happened literally almost the exact same way. Like him getting, they both got headbutted in the face by a defender.
Hmm.
Uh, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
But
that and like the mask like looks. I don't know if it's different because he's
yeah,
got like tan kind of
yeah,
light skin,
mhm,
but it's like smushing his nose, like it's pushing it
yeah,
down, and like
mhm,
the shine of the lights in Talking Stick Resort, or no, they're in L.A. in
yeah.
Staples Center,
Yeah,
the
Staples
L.A.
Center.
version. Like it made it so shiny. He looked like Phantom of the Opera. Like that's what I
Mhm.
thought of. Like legit when the lights were shining
Well,
on
yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, he did look like that.
him.
But yeah, yeah, he didn't get going. I mean, Chris Paul didn't really get going either. He didn't get his shot going, but he was able to make plays for his teammates like DeAndre Ayton. Like they started out the game. Chris Paul wasn't hitting his shots, but he was definitely hitting DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, stuff like that. Um, getting the team involved.
Hmm.
But I guess it's not. I wouldn't put that too much on Chris Paul because he's just coming back from COVID protocol. He hasn't been playing or he hasn't played in 11 days. I believe they said so.
I
And this is the
mean,
Western Conference Finals.
dude,
So
he was looking crispy, like
yeah, yeah,
getting around the screen into the lane, like he was
mhm,
zipping around, and he didn't
uh,
necessarily have every shot going, but he had a couple mid rangers, he had a three like going down to kind
mm,
of get the game closer in the fourth quarter,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then
That should have
props
been a
to
foul uh, on Luke Kennard.
I mean, it's easy to say
Yeah.
whatever you want to say about the refs at any time. Their best ref game was last night's game between the Hawks and the Bucks, where there
Yeah.
were basically no foul calls. I mentioned this to
Mhm.
you on text.
Mhm.
I ended up waking up, just a side tangent. I woke up at 9 p.m. Late by an hour and a half to watch that game. I'm like, okay, I got to speed through this and kind of catch up and be in time, that way I don't get spoiled. And I finished that game fast forwarding through any timeouts and any commercial breaks in probably an hour and 15 minutes. Like, it was so fast. There were so few stoppages. And that's the way I like it. I want this
Mhm.
game to be as smooth as possible. Side tangent, Kyle. Do you think that it's good or smart or great for the watcher? And I guess I'm kind of setting you up for what I want you to say.
Mhm.
But what do you think of the Euro foul when there's a fast break going on one end, like there's a turnover or kind of a long rebound, and the team seems to be outnumbered, but not really. It's a two on three fast break, no clear path, but the defensive team that's on their heels just quickly, oh well, let's take a foul because there's no way we want a fast break basket. There's even times where it's like the defense for the Suns or any team, the Hawks, are partially back and they could have a good defense, but they take the foul just in case because
Mhm.
we'd rather take the free throws or have them take a side out of bounds than gamble and play fast break defense. Like, what do you think about
Mhm.
that?
It's funny because I thought you were gonna take it somewhere else. I thought the Euro foul was the you were talking about the rip through, just like
No, that's the
when
KD.
they're holding. Oh, that's the KD. Uh, I thought you were talking about that, but yeah, it's. I mean, I guess it's a smart play, but I definitely do like it better when they just play on,
Hmm.
rather than like force the refs to make a call. Like and it's weird because sometimes the refs don't even make the right call, even when the call is obvious. Like back in the Sixers Hawk series, like there was times when you remember Bogdan fouled Joel Embiid and raised up his hand,
Hmm.
but they never called it, and
And
he
so
got the
Bogdan's
dunk.
out
Yeah,
of the way. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
he stops
So
playing.
yeah, so it's not fun to see, erase the highlight
Oh,
and
you just
put
said
the
the
ball.
operative word.
Yeah,
See, I don't want to see that. I want to see
yeah,
fast breaks. I want to
yeah.
see motion basketball. I don't want to see a parade to the free throw line, a parade to the
Mm,
sideline. I don't want that. And then the other change that I want, I guess, if we're talking about my personal whims, like when there's a shot that goes up at the end of the buzzer, and let's say it's an air ball because that's just what happens when they force a shot clock violation. If the opposing team, like if the Clippers airball and the shot clock runs out, it goes. If the opposing team, in the Suns in this case, get that rebound, if they have an advantage, like they stop the play. They have to
mm,
take it out of bounds. I'd rather
mm.
the play just continue at that point. Don't stop it and see what happens happens.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel that's kind of just like
A
an
small tweak.
effect. No,
Mm.
just like an effect of being in the playoffs, and then everything's becoming ultra optimal. Like you don't want to give up anything. Like you and I like fighting games, so I kind of related to, like, when you're in like grand finals, and then the other person pulls out like a scummy tactic, like ledge stalling, or whatever. It just gets super optimal, but it's not technically against the rules.
Kyle, did
Uh,
you have to put me on blast and let everyone know that I play fighting games? but
Nothing's wrong with that. We play. I mean, well, yeah, you play fighting games at this point, but we both know about them. But
esports, yeah,
but
video games
yeah,
are fun for
yeah,
everyone.
yeah. But yeah, I don't feel that's something they really need to work on. I just feel like they should focus on giving the offensive player, a little bit less of an advantage, like in the half court, with the sweep through fouls and the drawing the dumb, 3 point.
Sideways three
Yeah,
pointers.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
leaning in.
I promise I'm gonna take us off this tangent, but they did kind of legislate that out of the
uh,
game a little bit with Kevin Durant and Rick Carlisle always complaining about that rip through motion, and then they've already had some news coming out from
yeah.
Shams and Woj saying that they're going to take a look in the offseason, renewed focus on unnatural shooting motions, forward or sideways. You know,
Well, what is it? The competitive committee, competition
Competition committee. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They mentioned in the tweet James Harden, Trae Young,
yeah.
but don't let that fool you. If they really put this in, Wesley Matthews is gonna have a hard time seeing the floor because that dude does not even try to shoot anymore. He just jumps sideways. Like that's what he does. He doesn't even try to
Yeah.
shoot. He's open. He'll pump fake and wait for you to jump and then jump into you, as opposed to just being open in the first place and just shooting. Like it's so annoying. But that's the end of my soapbox. Speaking of bad refing, we'll take you back to the Clippers versus the
Mhm.
Suns when Reggie Jackson turned the ball over.
Yeah.
He
I
threw the
saw that. I
mhm.
was yeah.
he,
Go
t-
go.
he threw the ball straight into the backcourt.
Yeah.
Nobody touched it. They called it appropriately,
Yeah.
and then
And
John
then
Goebel, who was not there, the referee, he was on the baseline. He
yeah.
overturned the call. He
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
"I'm the crew chief. I'm the captain. We're gonna give the Clippers the ball," and then they scored. And then you saw it
Yeah.
on the replay that they didn't.
Yeah.
Nobody interfered with this. Torrey Craig
Yeah.
was not there.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really unfortunate because like it led to a basket right after that. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like,
Reggie Jackson got an
yeah,
assist right
yeah,
to Batum under the goal.
yeah, and so I was like, dude, that uh, that's an omen, a sign of things to come. Uh, but no, like uh, John, you said Goble,
Yeah, John
who,
Goebel.
who, which ref was that? Was that the white dude that's balding or the
I
light
mean,
skinned dude
I'll have to
that's
look up the picture. I just
oh,
remember the
okay.
name.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
he's the crew chief.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, yeah, no, I saw that. I was like, that's so weird, and they didn't even look at it. They just went off the word of one of the officials. So
Yeah,
I
because
was
if it's
like,
not in the last 2
yeah,
minutes, the
yeah,
referees
yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah,
enforce their own timeout, but they can
hmm
confer on things like that.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So it was like that, and then also like later in the game, there was clear like push-offs, like from Paul George that frustrated Jay Crowder and stuff like that. Ended up uh he ended up getting his sixth foul and fouling out like right after that
talking about
because he was
Crowder, yeah, he was
yeah, yeah,
pissed.
yeah. So it's we were talking about officiating during the regular season, but then now it gets even weirder during the playoffs.
But
So
Kyle, we are not the calling the free throw shot callers. We
yeah,
are just the shot callers. We like the
yeah,
regular stuff. We're not going to complain about the refs anymore this
yeah,
episode, I don't think.
yeah,
But I mean, just back to close out this game a little bit, the Clippers were within 2 points and they were shooting terribly
yeah.
in the first half. You
Well,
know,
so was the Suns. To be fair, like both of these teams didn't look too stellar in the first half. Uh, the Clippers started out the first quarter, really hot. The Suns came back and made it even in the second quarter, but yeah, neither of those teams looked really that great. Chris Paul and Devin Booker, they both started out like 0 for 7 or 0 for 8 or something like that.
yeah, I got
And
them right here. The Suns were 19 for 46 in the first half versus the Clippers 15 for 41. So the Clippers were shooting worst percentage 33%, which is terrible. But then when you
Mm,
go over to the second half with that giant run in the fast break
mm,
threes, getting everything that they wanted, the Suns in the second half were 16 for 44 versus the Clippers 22 for 41 with four more threes made. And like, if you didn't think that the game was in hand, like if you didn't think it was going their way already, like I
mm,
mean, just take a look at the Paul George three.
yeah.
I think I have it right here. Yeah, and you excuse me, I cut this highlight myself, so you're gonna hear me in the background. but but here it is. Let me pull it up for you. Yep, recording.
Paul George gets it off the time. Oh, he banks it
Puts it in.
It's good.
Like
Yeah,
it's their night at that point.
yeah, yeah. I saw that. I was like, because I believe the Suns had just built some momentum in their favor, and Paul George. I think right before that, Cam Johnson, he hit a shot, and then right after I kind of kept my eye on him. He had a kind of a lackadaisical like closeout. I mean on the half court shot on Paul George, and he ended up banking it in. So I was like, oh shit, like that's not a good sign.
Hmm.
The Clippers are going to keep their momentum and keep going. Uh, Jamal Smith in the comments. We'll
Oh,
get to that. We'll get to that
yeah,
in a
I'm
moment.
pulling up a
Yeah,
video to go with
yeah.
this comment right here, where he says, "Y'all think Ben Simmons is going straight to Shanghai?" Which I love the shit talking because it reminds me of Dirk. Dirk
Oh,
used to say this to plenty of dudes on the Mavs. He used to be like, Man, you better brush up on your Mandarin because you're going straight to China after this. I think he said it to I think he said that to Jay Crowder, who was in this game tonight. So
Really?
how? Yeah, I mean, he didn't say it
Oh,
tonight, but he
well,
said it when
no,
Jay
no,
Crowder was on the Mavericks.
I know that. No, I didn't realize he said it to his teammates. I thought he said it to opponents.
No, he said it to the teammates. It's always to the teammates. Yeah, Dirk always talked the most shit to just the guys that he knew. He used to call Luca the young burger. I believe he's the one that called Brian Cardinal the custodian. But I guess to answer his question directly, like I don't think he's going to Shanghai.
Yeah, probably not.
I think the most likely scenario is if we get out the next 4 weeks and there isn't like a panic trade where Daryl Morey is not trying to ship him out of town thinking he can get a bigger fish. Like this is Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey, GM of the Sixers, already mentioned it's been rumored that he didn't go after Kyle Lowry last season, who definitely could have been an improvement to the team. He's waiting on a bigger fish. So we know Daryl Morey wants to go and get large acquisitions. I think the more likely scenario is we get through that period, let free agency settle, and they try to build up Ben Simmons trade value, and we'll see him off the team after a stint, maybe this coming February. Of course, that's when the deadline is, but that's kind of what I think. I think he's going straight to another team, just not immediately.
Oh, okay.
Or Kyle, do you think he's going to China?
No, I don't think he's going to China. I think Philly fans want him to go to China, but we'll talk about that series a little bit in a moment.
I did have one more just really sick highlight. It's for Nick Batum, and it's a Luke Kennard made three. And I'm not saying this just because I said Luke Kennard was going to go off before the season started when they made that acquisition, but just there's a lot of hype, or not a lot of hype. A lot was made of when Nick Batum said, going in, I think in the first round series against the Mavericks, he said, "I know what I have to do. I need to watch Boris Diaw and I need to watch Draymond Green to see what my team needs from me. To see the two best guys in the past 10 years to ever do it at my position, being the do-it-all, jack of all trades, stretch the floor, power forward / center and the small ball lineups." And he's been doing a reasonable facsimile of that, bro. Like, take a look. He gets the ball to Luke Kennard in the corner. He just hands it off to him, kind of like as close as someone right in front of me right now, and just quickly, instinctively turns and screens for him. It looks like if you put Steph Curry in that position, it looked exactly what Draymond Green did. And I'll add it to it right now. Here it comes. Batum, Kennard coming out of the baseline. Boom. And one. And if we just play that one more time, I can just scoot right over to it, I believe. Here's Batum. Whoops. Batum has handed the ball off here. And he just turns and immediately screens two guys. Even small brush screens like that are really critical. And so I thought that was a really impactful and something he's been doing a lot of times during the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. His impact has been great. I mean, just the Clippers' depth and Tyronn Lue being an improvement over Doc Rivers, just the little adjustments that he makes really helps show the depth that they have on this team. Luke Kennard was a cool pickup. I mean, I don't know. I was about to say transition.
Transaction, I think you meant to say.
Yeah, transaction. He was cool. Nick Batum was cool. Definitely before the season too. Like I feel like we didn't see much of Nick Batum. He was I don't even remember what team he was on last. But I just don't remember him being like a super sought after pickup. But he's shown his value now. Drafting Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, obviously. All those guys have shown up like huge, and it's frustrating in my opinion because like I told you earlier, I've gotten myself emotionally invested in this series because I believe the Phoenix Suns are the favorites to or the best team left, and I believe they're my prediction to win the NBA Finals. But so that's why I got a little emotionally attached to them.
You mean tilted when the Suns lost?
Yeah. You said don't maintain my journalistic integrity and stuff. But I don't claim to be a journalist. It's okay. I can be human and and be a little emotionally attached.
Man, what the hell was I about to say?
Yeah, you got on your phone, you lost your train of thought,
I'm
man.
looking for the Ben Simmons highlights. It was like 16. It was like a minute's worth of highlights of him shooting 16 footers in his rookie season. He shot more 16-foot attempts in his first year, which I believe was, I think, 12 times in his rookie season beyond 15 feet, so 16 feet or greater. And then in the 3 years since then, since that year,
Hmm.
he attempted 8 from beyond that distance.
Wow.
It's ridiculous, and they look half decent, but I know we're jumping all over the place, but the report had come out earlier in the week that every kind of step of the way up along his development, whether Brett Brown wanted him to get 1,000 shots up or work with a particular shooting coach, he kind of is an introverted person that kind of goes back to where he's comfortable, of course, which is, not shooting or shooting around the rim, not shooting threes, but also towards people that he knows, getting coached by his brother, I believe, or his brother's trainer that is from a smaller school, maybe not as high profile as the guys that Brett Brown, his previous coach, is trying to hook him up with. And maybe that kind of gives us some clues as to why his development has stagnated so much. Not just pride, and saying I'm exactly who I need to be, but, kind of fear, I guess, of the unknown or what's going to happen when
Mhm.
the Philly crowd turns on him, because we both know the Philly
Yeah,
crowd is not afraid to boo you if you're
yeah,
fucking shit up.
yeah. They were giving Trae Young a lot of shit. Like you could hear it uh over over the game. Like you would hear him say, fuck Trae Young.
Mhm.
Even after the game when Trae Young was, the arena is mostly empty and Trae Young's doing his post game interview with TNT and stuff, and I hear a random fan, like fuck you Trae Young, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, like, yeah, y'all gotta relax, y'all lost. Like it's not even like on Trae Young. You have other
Mhm.
people to blame.
Kyle, these words on this podcast are not going to do a thing. These are the people that threw snowballs at Santa Claus. Like,
Yeah.
you know? But the final thing that I was going to say actually was, and it's funny that we're comparing those series again and again, but the difference, it seems like this between the two series for me, and the Sixers are obviously getting ousted by the Atlanta Hawks, who are now facing the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. But when you look at Doc Rivers, like, get that GIF out of your mind where he's looking crazy. He's like, that's the GIF, the Doc Rivers GIF. But when he's throwing out these lineups, yes, the lineups are less versatile. There are less players with sharp shooting skills on the Sixers. Matisse Thybulle, Dwight Howard. That's their bench mob. Not a great, shooting like Grant Hill looks like deer in the headlights quite often. But when he's throwing guys out there, it's almost like Doc Rivers is throwing, spaghetti at the wall, trying to see what sticks because you don't know who's going to come in when. Whereas just from 2,000 miles away, sitting on my couch, Tyronn Lue, where he's putting Rondo in at the first game of the series, but he's not playing in games like tonight. Terrence Mann goes out and he goes out big. Luke Kennard hasn't played in the previous series, but he's showing out in this one. When he is messing with the rotations, it doesn't seem as though the guys that go out there are suddenly playing and getting shots up like they're shooting like, oh, I don't know when I'm going to get back in. They're trying to make something happen. And if it doesn't, they're going to lose some playing time, but they're still open to being put in later on. There's that confidence that he's experimenting and tailoring per series.
Mhm.
Something that you don't necessarily see from, somebody like Coach Bud. I know we're going to move on to the other series in just a second. Coach Bud doesn't seem to tailor his personnel to the opponent, where it's as easy as putting Drew Holiday on Trae Young every minute, matching their minutes. But you saw Jeff Teague get exhumed from his grave and guarding Trae Young in that Bucks series. And that's when Trae Young had like 7 straight points. Like, why
Yeah.
even try that when Trae Young had 41 minutes in that game and Drew Holiday had 43? There wasn't like a mismatch or a time where they couldn't have overlapped, which is ridiculous. So I think that's props to Tyronn Lue. No matter what the next result of the fourth game is, if Chris Paul has his legs under him, if Devin Booker gets the shot going again, if Kawhi Leonard misses, I still think that's something to be commended. Coming out of this hole every time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh, the it just puts a stain on Doc's legacy and makes Tyronn Lue look better too.
Who do you have for your MVP of this matchup?
Of this game, I would definitely say Patrick Beverly. Just his job on his energy. Not only on Devin Booker, but going after rebounds.
Mhm.
Chasing down loose balls. Whatever it is. He was definitely the MVP of like making sure like the Suns were not able to get back in the game. Like they were able to slow them down every time they went on a little run, and they were potentially going to break the drought. That Patrick Beverly was the main guy to lead them to hold it down.
Yeah, and he was shooting terribly in the first half, 1 for 6.
Hmm.
But he had a lot of deflections, of course, key fouls, key flops, like getting the momentum
Hmm.
going in his team's direction in any way that he had to. Like, a foul like looks cheap because you're flopping, but I mean it is part of the game and it's part of the strategy until they can ref it more closely. So yeah, even the head snaps,
Yeah, yeah.
get the momentum going in the way that you want. And then in the second half, props to him, he didn't start jacking it up anymore. He had 2 shots and he made them both. So he kind of reined it in on that side, trying to stay a positive. So yeah, nice choice for your MVP. For me, I think it's gonna be Zubats.
Yeah.
Not that he had a particularly good line, but just the screens that he's setting, the fact that he's such a presence on the offensive board. Um, 16 rebounds in this game. I didn't even look at that before I
Yeah.
picked him. And then
I think he had like 10 in the first half.
yeah, it's crazy when they get like 12 in the first half and then they get like 4 in the second. Like
Yeah.
that's what's always crazy, especially when you play fantasy basketball. But yeah, and then just having a body and closing out to DeAndre Ayton often. Not that you can totally mitigate his impact. That's why I have as the MVP. Guys kind of came and went during that game shooting wise, and he didn't have a good shooting night, good in those tip ins, but his effort was there the entire time. So
Hmm.
Aiden didn't get 10 rebounds. This is I think one of his first non-double, not one of the first games where he didn't get 10 rebounds. So
Mm.
I think that's pretty big, and I wonder if that'll be a trend that holds forward, going because I have the series going long. You had the Suns in 6 or 5.
Probably 6. Uh,
We'll have to look up our
yeah,
Instagram posts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shotcallers Show on Instagram, Shotcallers Show on Twitter. If you want to look up that archive, see how wrong or right Robin, Kyle, and I've been 50-50 pretty much the whole way. I did have I think I
Uh,
had the Suns coming this far. No, I didn't. I had the
yeah.
Jazz in this round.
I had the Jazz and the Suns in the Western Conference Finals.
Hmm.
Uh, I did have the Jazz winning, but it doesn't matter now because they're out. So,
Yeah.
uh, but other than that, all my picks were correct. So from this, from this point onward, I would say, or I believe in the Suns. Just watching them throughout these playoffs, throughout all these series. Um, I think they're the best team left, and so I would say the Suns will probably win in 6 games.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, barring any kind of like serious Cameron Payne injury, and
Hmm.
and just having Chris Paul come back and get stuff going as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, great. I got him in. Oh, I got I got the Suns in 7. I think
Okay.
it's gonna go even longer.
Okay.
But as I got the predictions tab up, today's Thursday. Tomorrow the Bucks and the Hawks are gonna go for round 2. You got any predictions for that particular game before our viewers tune into that one?
Man, that game is going to be tough to call because I mean, obviously, we all like going into these playoffs, like we knew Atlanta was good, but we didn't know that, they would be this hungry, this tough. Uh, obviously they just came off of a 7-game series just like the Bucks, and they beat the 76ers.
And
Um,
dude, I made a joke, and I think in the second round, like with the injuries going to the Nets, and then the Lakers going down, and then the Jazz with Donovan Mitchell's knee, and like Mike Conley, like all these different injuries on different teams. I made a joke. It might have been to my friend Jonathan, but I was like, are the Hawks going to win the title because they have a bunch of 20-year-olds on the squad and they're all
Yeah,
healthy, you know? But
yeah,
the Bucks are healthy and the Hawks are banged up. DeAndre Hunter out.
yeah,
Bogdan, that
yeah,
guy, he's limping. I don't think he's going to get
yeah,
very much playing time unless he has significant recovery in this past 24 48 hours.
mhm,
Um, they got Solomon Hill out there dunking
yeah,
like they're going down the bench,
mhm,
So props to Nate McMillan on that one. Props to Ice Tray for being the cold. Like he's got and this is not a pun. I don't mean for it to be a pun, but his situation, like he is so cold, like in
yeah.
style of
No,
play,
legit,
and his
legit.
celebrations, like he's got the
Yeah,
shiver. And then when he shot that three, when he stood there and he looked at everybody in the eye,
yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
that was a shiver
That
with
was
the one
so
arm.
disrespectful, dude. I
But
was
he
like,
drilled it. He drilled it.
he made it too. I was like, bro, that is wild. That's why all these crowds hate him.
No, I love it.
I know, no, I love it. I think it's great. Like, yeah, he bowed in Madison Square Garden after he
Mm-hmm.
wiped their nicks.
Yep. He
He
said, "I
shook.
heard a lot of plays go on in this
Yeah,
city,
yeah,
so I wanted to
yeah,
bow." Yep.
yeah. He said it's real quiet in this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
After game one or whatever it was in Madison Square Garden, he's been
Yep.
shushing crowds, like, and he just went through Philly. Like, I think after game seven when they won, like they were dribbling the ball out, and Trae Young, he was just sitting there staring at the crowd. He was like looking around, and they were all like yelling at him, being mad and stuff because
Yeah.
they're Philly, so they'll let you know about it. But yeah, it's like they're so much fun to watch. Like they've definitely grown on me this playoffs, and they've come out and they've won game one against the Bucks, who again, like we've all said, like this Bucks team is definitely a more solid team than this Atlanta squad. The
Supposed to
Atlanta
be. Their
squad,
defense
yeah,
is top
yeah,
notch.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. The Atlanta is young, they're inexperienced, but this head coach change, like it shows how significant a head coaching change can be. Like Nate McMillan, like I did think uh I thought them being bad under Lord Pierce during the first half of the season, I thought it was like, okay, we overrated this lineup. These players aren't working right. There was John Collins drama earlier in the season, like they didn't want to give him the max contract and all this kind of stuff. Uh,
Well, I mean, there was drama with the contract, but there was also drama in like the film room. Like people were
yeah.
asking for Trae Young to pass the ball more often, and
Mm,
so I think it's a combination of what you mentioned. I think Trae Young changed his style of play more. I think he started just spraying the ball up for assists a little bit more. Guys came back healthy.
mhm,
Gallinari was injured like half the season, like has been, like he's gonna want to do during a lot of his career. Lou Williams made an appearance after they traded Rajon Rondo away,
mhm,
and Bogdanovich came into the lineup from his long-term injury after that botched trade
mm.
to Milwaukee. Imagine if he was on the other side. Like
Yeah, I know.
how crazy is that? But I think a lot of those things all came together to make the games more watchable. Trae Young didn't get selected to the All Star team. He has made a change during the season at some point. He's been insanely watchable, and they've really had a coming out party for him this year. Can you imagine if they won the championship? How
Yeah,
insane
dude,
would that be?
that'd be a fucking crazy run. Like I
Uh,
don't even.
all that being said, I don't mean to kind of drill this into the ground or end it abruptly, but I'm just going to put it on the record: the Bucks are going to win on Friday night, and we're going to see what happens in Atlanta after that.
I think that's probably a safe pick. The Bucks are at home. The Bucks have been really the Ducks. The Bucks have been really good at home. After going down 2-0 against Brooklyn, they come back to their place and they're able to go up, or they're able to win two games right back. So I think the Bucks winning tomorrow. Uh, or Friday night or whatever, game two. I think that's a solid pick.
Are you agreeing?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Uh, but it's just tough to count them out. Robin was saying like, oh, Bucks
Oh
and
yeah,
five.
Bucks got the
Yeah,
championship.
yeah,
He's not
yeah, but
here, so we can just speak for him. Yeah, Bucks in 5. Guess the Bucks are gonna sweep.
yeah,
Bucks gonna win the title. Nobody has a
yeah,
chance.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's Robin.
Yeah. That's Robin. I think that's really disrespectful to the Atlanta Hawks because they've shown great toughness. They came out and they won game one. They took game one from the Bucks. Like the Bucks, they had a great third quarter, and they were in, or well, no, the Hawks had a great third quarter, and
Hmm.
then the
Insane
Buck.
third quarter. That
Yeah,
was the same
yeah,
quarter that Trae had that alley oop
yeah,
to
yeah.
John Collins.
Yeah, dude. Bruh, it's like so many highlights. It's so much fun. But then the Bucks were able to weather that and come back in the fourth.
Hmm.
But the Hawks are able to hold on and win, and like and nobody expects this. You expect the the two-time MVP, the team with the two-time MVP, uh, and all these solid pieces around them. They have the expectations on them to win. So for them to come out to take game one, and then Robin to think that the Bucks are the best team and they're gonna win in five or whatever, I think that's disrespectful to the Hawks, and I also think that's disrespectful to the Clippers and the Phoenix Suns.
Well, Kyle, you are the most respectful man that I know. Thank you for talking about respect for everyone. I wanted to say that I mean it could have gone the other way. Pat Connaughton could have made that non-air ball. It could have been a made three, and who knows what would have happened. But I mean that's the tail of the tape. You got to call your shot while the ball's in the air. Write the story while the ball's in the air. And with that, I mean that's all I got for
uh,
this week's episode as far as catching
uh,
up.
I mean, I want to touch on the Sixers a little bit. Like, people have been saying, blow it up and blah 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 and this and that, and you know, uh, people. I mean, there's a lot of hate for Ben Simmons, and that's definitely justified. They held on to Ben Simmons. Like, I don't know if that was uh Daryl Morey being like greedy and not wanting to give up Ben Simmons for James Harden, or if
Oh,
he.
that in particular was definitely the Rockets ownership, Tillman
uh,
Fertitta being like, "I'm not trading shit to you," because he used to work,
mm,
for the Rockets.
yeah.
So I don't think he wanted to directly benefit someone that quit that organization.
Hmm.
But yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. It could have been that, or trading for Kyle Lowry, just a whole bunch of different things. Well, you already said earlier that you think that Ben Simmons isn't gonna get traded until like for the trade deadline next season or something.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, uh, I don't know. I wonder what they're gonna do with Ben Simmons, because obviously I think this is probably the final nail in the coffin. Like, okay, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, like this isn't gonna work how we planned it to. We need to get a different complementary piece. And there's been critics saying like, oh. I think Chuck was saying this on TNT, like this problem should have been solved, like this is on the 76ers like organization, like they should have sat Ben down like years ago, and you know got him to work on his free throw shooting and mid-range shooting and three-point shooting and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Because in your opinion, has Ben Simmons like evolved as a player since his rookie season, or has he stayed like the same
No
like
way.
throughout?
He's the
Yeah.
same. Like
Yeah.
even when he's made the strides to make a few different shots, put him in his arsenal. The times he's
Mhm,
made a couple threes, like I think his attempts are under 20 for the season. Like there's
mhm,
82 games in the whole season.
mhm,
So definitely not. Like he was that same, full court monster, dishing out passes, dump offs, good penetration, but it just seems as though he looks like Rondo, not even
yeah.
looking to score, getting under the bucket and passing it out for the Rondo assist. So do you want 7 foot tall Rondo? Like I don't.
Well, it's funny because I mean, Rondo is kind of a weird comparison in my opinion, because there were at times, yeah, I guess I'm thinking of like the championship runs Rondo's.
Yeah, you talking about
Uh, uh,
13 years ago,
yeah,
Rondo?
yeah, something like that. So, anyways, but no, yeah, he definitely hasn't changed, and like, but it's weird because there was people being critical on him just earlier this season, about him not scoring, because like he started out the season like not scoring very much, and then he would come out and have like I feel like a 42-point game or something like that, and he came out scoring big like just like a couple of games after that, but then he went right back and regressed to not scoring at all, and in this series like he's not even taking shots, so it's like it's weird. Is it like his skills? Is it his mental
Who's
game?
mental,
Like
man?
it's or I guess it's probably a combination of both. Like and then it's also it's on Doc a little bit. I Do you think they'll keep Doc or
Yeah, I think
yeah.
1 year. I don't think these owners are very quick to want to pay coaches multiple salaries.
Hmm.
It's like when the Cleveland Cavaliers were paying three different coaches. John Beeline still paying, Mike Brown, and then their newest additions as well. It's like three coaches at the same time. Like no, no thanks. Like I think that's going to be not a good look for whenever they would eventually want to hire another one. Like, oh,
Hmm.
I only get a 1 year leash. Like, he's definitely sticking around 1 more year. I believe Ben Simmons has
Yeah.
run its course over there in the city of brotherly love. So he's the first one
Uh,
that's going to go for
do
sure.
you
Who's your favorite trade target?
for Ben Simmons?
Hmm.
Dude, I don't know. It's I guess the one that sticks out in my head the most is probably like Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum. I guess that's the most basic one, but I feel like that would make sense on both ends probably because you know Portland has been like terrible on defense for like years at this point, I think. And getting a guy like Ben Simmons, a good solid perimeter defender would be like beneficial for them at least.
Hmm.
Helping out supporting Yusuf Nurkic on defense. Uh on offense though, we'll see how that is. And then
I
and then
mean, mhm.
and then same for Philly, like it'll help their defense but hurt or it'll help their offense but hurt their defense, but we'll see to what extent if that happens. But that's like the most simplest, straightforward kind of trade that I see.
I don't think that Ben Simmons' value has been lower than it has this past week, so I definitely don't think this will happen. But you could convince me that Ben Simmons could be a better Dwight Powell in every sense. Athletic, rolls to the rim. But the thing is, I don't know if he's ready to give up the keys of or the title of being a point guard. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
James Harden started off as a shooting guard for the Thunder, ended up running the show as a Rockets, main guy, distributor, facilitator until he wanted to kind of give it up to Chris Paul for
Mhm.
that season and kind of split ball handling duties. But and then sometimes my old co-host would argue with me, James Harden's not a point guard. Well, he went to the Brooklyn Nets and played point guard over Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if Ben Simmons wants to give that up because
Mhm.
that does take away a lot of his value. Like look at him
Mhm.
on the on the Sixers. He dribbled the ball, he dribbled the ball up in the half court, hand it off to like Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid, and then just go stand under the goal. Like
Yeah,
so, I
yeah.
don't think he's ready to be just a traditional power forward / small ball center. But
Mhm.
I could be convinced that Porzingis and Dwight Powell and Ben Simmons and Dwight Howard or a bad contract could come back this way. Um, but that doesn't
uh,
fit Joel Embiid's timeline. Joel Embiid
d-
needs win now players, not
mm.
projects.
Do you think they're gonna keep Tobias Harris or they're gonna
They're locked in on that. They have too many contracts that they would have to get rid of at the same time. So
okay.
I think they're gonna just ride it out and see if they can make him show up. 3 games in a row in the playoffs.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel that Tobias Harris deserves some of the blame as well.
Hmm.
He definitely underplayed or underperformed in that series.
Hmm.
Um, I think he had 24 points in Game 7, but like just watch or remembering that Game 7, despite him having 24 points, like he didn't feel that impactful on them winning. So uh, I feel like he's probably up in the air as well. Um, but we'll all see how it goes. Like probably after the championship finishes, uh, and we'll go from there. What do you, on another note?
You did
Actually,
mention you had a question.
yeah, I did have a question. Um, I had a conversation with a person, in person, obviously. Uh, it was at work, and he was saying like oh, like ratings are gonna suck this year because no big names are gonna make the finals. Like all the uh in the Western Conference Finals, it's an LA team, but it's the Clippers, not the Lakers, and you have the Phoenix Suns, and then you have Atlanta and Milwaukee. Uh, Milwaukee's definitely not a big market team. Um, so I kind of wanted your opinion. I thought that this wouldn't hurt like ratings and stuff like how he kind of portrayed it uh like oh this is terrible for the NBA and obviously I hope it won't be too bad for ratings because maybe the NBA will like throw every year to make sure or rig every season to make sure the Lakers always makes the Western Conference Finals or the finals or New York or whatever. um I don't think I don't think it'll be that detrimental. I think it's fun because we're seeing new faces and it's pretty competitive. Like this year is pretty up in the air in my opinion. But what do you think?
My question, my number one question, or my number one statement, and I try not to do this every time, but sometimes you can't give the sexy answer as far as a
Hmm.
definitive yes or no. We
Hmm.
are literally in a new world after the pandemic has begun.
Hmm.
People have changed how they broadcast things. Marv Albert
Yeah.
went home and was breathing all over the mic to call games.
Yeah. He was.
Teams are injured. They're getting less rest. We don't know who's going to make it from one season to the next. They're going to have another
Mm.
short off season. Devin Booker is going to go from the NBA Finals 1 week later. He's going to join the Olympic team like days later. So let's say they win the championship and he does that, and then that leads to a shorter stint or a shorter run for them next year. We don't know what's going to happen year over year. We can only compare, pandemic to now, 1 year into the pandemic. And I know this is a biased source, but I have it right here. NBA Communications, I know, biased, but they are up 39% on TNT, ESPN, and ABC year over year. And last year was in the bubble, but last year had the Lakers and the Heat, two large market prominent
Yeah.
teams in the finals. And already, just from the past weekend, Bucks Nets 7 million, Hawks Sixers 6.2. None of those are the teams that you're so used to seeing in the playoffs. These are new teams that haven't won in 50 plus years, no matter who the stars are on the team. And then globally, I think it's well known that outside of soccer, basketball is the number one sport worldwide because football is American football.
Hmm.
There's Aussie rules football, which is not even close to on the level, but it's
Yeah.
football, none the same.
Yeah.
And then
Base.
cricket isn't big in the United
Yeah.
States. And then what's after that? Like
Yeah.
tennis,
It,
bowling.
oh yeah. Yeah, probably not bowling, but yeah, tennis is probably up there. Baseball is big in the U.S. and like Central and South America.
And Japan too, but it's
Yeah,
called
yeah,
America's pastime. Whereas,
yeah,
uh, you know, and then they've got basketball growing in other leagues, like the
yeah,
Basketball Africa League. So,
yeah,
um, I'm not concerned for ratings, and
yeah.
and it's hard to keep measuring this because the way that people watch is new too. Because,
Mm,
um. Nielsen is the way that things get rated. I learned that in some of our broadcasting courses, and they're not as pervasive as they were, 30 years ago. So comparing 30 years ago, where every set-top box had Nielsen software where they could accurately
mm,
portray ratings and viewership during prime time to sell to advertisers, that changed just a few years later in the 2000s when DVR took over and they
mm,
didn't know how to record who was actually watching or who was being recorded or if it counted as a view or the nature of viewing trends and how to sell that to advertisers. And now
mm,
it's changing again. So this doom and gloom isn't going to make much sense to me. Um, where they're going to say, this is going to have a profound effect because these teams aren't the coastal teams, these big markets,
mm,
ridiculous. You have a Super Bowl every year that's going to capture insane ratings no matter who the teams are. I know we had Tom Brady in the Super Bowl for the NFL, but he was in Tampa Bay.
mm.
We had on the other side, Kansas City Chiefs. We had a president that didn't know that Kansas City was not in Kansas. They said that it's in Missouri, And for some reason, basketball is the only sport where they're so concerned about where the stars are playing. Where are they playing? Please tell me the name of the city that's on this jersey. Is it Milwaukee? Is it Salt Lake City, Utah? Is it, Indianapolis, Indiana? Or no, but if it's LA, then I'm in.
Mhm.
LeBron James played in Cleveland all these years.
Yeah,
The San
yeah.
Antonio Spurs went back to back, and those ratings were just fine. So I don't think it's going anywhere personally. So
Uh, in my opinion, I feel like this is kind of a start of a new era. Like these are all like new faces, up and coming players, young players, uh, uh, who are becoming, the face of the NBA. Devin Booker, Giannis, Chris Middleton. You have in Atlanta, you have Trae Young, John Collins. On Utah, you had, I mean, Rudy Gobert is reasonably
like
young.
27, but
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell, Luka
yeah,
Doncic,
Donovan,
you already mentioned,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell. Uh, uh, I mean, Kawhi Leonard is, he's not that old either.
I think he's 29.
Yeah, yeah. So all these guys aren't like super old, like like LeBron James and like uh, trying to think of who else.
Oh,
I
you mean
guess
the old heads? Chris
yeah,
Paul?
yeah. Chris Paul. I mean, but Chris Paul's teamed up with Devin Booker, so that it works
Mhm.
out like that. So this is like the new face of the NBA. I think this is great. Like this is gonna spawn a new generation of fans, as as it probably does every year. But I feel like this year is more significant than other years because of like how much different it is this year compared to other years.
Yeah, and with the way that the offense, has taken over the league, like there are like I think 30 something dudes all
Mhm,
scoring 20 plus points per game. Like that was unheard of in 2009, you know?
mhm.
The talent pool combined with offense has really changed, and so there's something compelling to watch. There's a star or two on every team,
Yeah.
So maybe not an all-star, maybe
Mhm,
when you compare them directly to each other, there's going to be differences in level of skill, but overall, like the watchability is really high. And if they just take my hints from earlier in this show, it'd be even better. Like no more dead balls on
mhm.
shot clock violations and no more Eurofouls. But
Eh,
thank you for bringing that up, Kyle,
yeah,
and
yeah,
bringing us full circle.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. Quick questions. Just really, really quick questions. Well, what do you think about Rick Carlisle on the Pacers?
I think it's great, and the
Yeah.
sentiment that I've seen echoed. I mean, I'm happy for him.
Mhm,
He said, "I want out of this situation. I see something better on the horizon." People were kind of rumoring he was going to go to the Bucks, and then Budenholzer kind of navigated his way out of that mess for the
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Um, the Mavericks said, "We are not going to demand compensation because
Mhm,
sometimes when a coach moves franchises, it's like a trade." Doc
mhm,
Rivers and the Clippers had to give up a pick to the Celtics when that happened because he still had years left on his contract. And the Mavericks more or less said, "We don't want to get in the way and limit your opportunities by a team that doesn't want to give up a pick in exchange for you. We want you to go anywhere. So don't worry about that." So I thought that was a pretty good move when the Mavericks seemed to be stumbling over themselves, year over year in different
mhm.
ways. Um, and I like the talent on that team. I actually went to go
Yeah,
see them play in Portland. I went to see Portland versus Indiana, along with Portland versus Dallas, and I've been a big Sabonis fan, years and years. You can ask Jonathan. He's my first draft in one of the early rounds every fantasy league that I get in. But what it tells me is they've got a great coach. They've got ownership that's willing to stay competitive. They're willing to make changes. It's on the players now. So
mhm,
I don't think anyone's going to doubt Carlisle's pedigree and ability to get mismatched, hodgepodge, different players that have different skill sets. He's going to make the offense hum the best that he can. So it's on the players to take him just that bit further. So I'm up on that. Got another one?
yeah, I do. S- Woj, I mean, he even said it during halftime, during the ESPN halftime show of this game tonight, that the Mavericks are finalizing a deal to sign Jason Kidd as the next head coach. What do you think about that? I don't like it, but I mean,
Well,
uh,
I think the what it signals to me is that the coaching search can't be that exhaustive if it's been like a
Yeah,
week and you
yeah,
already got the Jason Kidd. You
yeah.
know, I don't feel as though there was a ticking clock on this. There's
Hmm.
still, things to be settled as far as teams to fizzle out or triumph in the playoffs. I think more candidates could be coming available in the coming days and weeks. So, in that sense, not saying anything negative about Jason Kidd, I think the search could have been wider. The only things that we have to go off of is that as a Nets head coach, when he had, I believe Paul Pierce might have still been on the
Yeah,
roster back then,
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
made the playoffs. Whenever he reportedly forced his way out in a power struggle with the Nets front office and ended up on the Bucks, they made the playoffs again. And
Mm.
everyone's gonna meme and remember that time that he was holding a drink up in
Yeah,
his hand.
yeah,
He said, "Hit
yeah.
me," and spilled the drink. I mean,
Yeah.
that tells you he's gonna do what it takes to win, like Patrick Beverly. But his in-game adjustments left something to be desired back then. Who knows what's changed in the different stops as an assistant coach along the way in his coaching career? Because you never stop learning. Someone that has an IQ like that, an acumen, a record of winning, and changing his own game where he shot near the end of his career and knowing what needed to change. I mean, who's to say, who's to underestimate how that could change going forward? Um, but the only other thing is he's inventive, and he's the one that gave Giannis the freedom to dribble as much as he wanted to and develop skills in the open court. So props to him on that too. So if he is the Mavericks coach, um, I'm thinking it could be something good, but I'm
Mhm.
worried about the Mavericks process.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. Any more?
Mm. No, no, that's it for me. That's all I wanted to talk about.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me chew the scenery. Could you please let the people know where they can find more of our content?
If you want to keep up with us, follow our tweets, our opinions, all that good stuff. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Shotcallers Show. We merged up the Twitter and the Instagram handles, so they're exactly the same now. A lot easier to find. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button if you like the content. Hit the notification bell. We're a small channel, so uh, everything helps. To make sure you don't miss a live stream or an upload or anything. And then you can find us virtually everywhere. You can find mainstream podcasts, Anchor FM, uh, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Um, Stitcher, Breaker, and Pocket Cast. The
You
Pocket
got
Cast
it.
was
You got it. You got it.
Pocket Cast was the last one. Okay, but yeah, you can find us virtually everywhere.
Great job, Kyle. And I know you mentioned, but just to reiterate, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a new episode. We really appreciate it. And I mean, that's all I got for this episode. And we
Yeah.
hope to see you guys on our next episode, which will be before next Thursday,
Mm,
with Robin back in tow. Get well soon, Robin. Strep throat is no joke.
mm.
I'm Rich. This is Kyle. And we are the Shot Callers.